It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Here we are, gang. This is supposed to be at 1 p.m. today, and I was still driving back from beautiful downtown Akron, Ohio. And so where I was attending the Teach Better conference, and it's been 3 years since I went to the last one in 2019. So myself and Tracy Pinter, who's probably in the comments somewhere, went, and then I came home and took a nap because I was tired. And man, I'm noticing my voice sounds like I've been talking all weekend.
I know.
Because your boy closed every bar this weekend. Of course. And not because we were out, we weren't like doing this. No. Wasn't the Coyote Ugly. It was
you can't help talking. You love talking.
One, because I'm not in school now, so like I don't have that like human interaction all day. This is how you interact with humans. All day. So that was fantastic, and got to meet up with a ton of great people that were just like such a good reminder that there's so many great teachers out there, from like people that were like I've never met before, like Neil Gupta was there and he was awesome, great presentation. Allison Apsey, I saw her present for the first time and just incredible. Ran into Dave Burgess again, and just Becky Schnechter or Schneckser. She is
that really how you say it?
It's because she did a whole thing. She goes, "'Cause what supports your head, sir?" And I
love it because I've never ever known how to say it.
You literally saw everybody doing. We were like, okay.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was such a good reminder. I was talking to folks last night. I said the one downside to really great teacher conferences is that you get to run into all these people that are doing incredible stuff. And then you go to school Monday and those people weren't there. They did not attend the conference. And so you're all fired up and stuff. And then everyone else, it's like, I don't know. It's like there's a club in your head and then no one else can hear the music or something like that. So, but my hope is that that's what Sunday nights are. Sundays are Sunday Night Teacher Talk, getting to like just touch base with some people that are doing great stuff, that are struggling with the same things, that have great ideas. And then you get the benefit of just being in the same virtual space with them anyway. Yes.
I just want to say, someone in the comments, I don't know, TA, saying it's their first time participating in this. It's 8 a.m. where they are, and they were walking into school now. Have a great day.
Oh, have a great day. Fantastic. Love it. Love it. Love it. So look, two things I want to address before we jump into questions. We're going to do full hour as usual. Look, I got nap hair going on here in the back. So that's what it looks like. One, I put a video out this week about how I left the classroom, and I was really nervous to do it, to be honest with you. A number of people have called me out on it, like how nervous I looked in the video, because I really was. I wasn't sure, when you get into this work of like on this side of the camera, when I talked to folks about leaving, the number one thing they said was, don't you think you're going to lose credibility with people because you're no longer in the classroom? And the when I tell you overwhelming, like emotionally overwhelming for me, response of positivity. There were like 5 people in there that were not nice. We know who you are. But like the overwhelming majority, it was just it was so overwhelmingly kind, and I just wanted to take a second and just say I appreciate it. Like I said in the video, my goal now is to help teachers full time be who they're called to be, and the all that energy and love and creativity and wacky ideas that I brought to my classroom, being able to bring that to YouTube like this is like, I couldn't be more excited. I know that I'm made the right move. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who was so kind about everything, so supportive. It really, really, I try not to count on that from people, right? I don't try not to count on like the need, the compliments and stuff like that. But damn it, it feels good.
I think you're mixing it up. I don't think it's the need for you. And of course it does. And I think the feel good part is the confirmation, right? The work that we do and the things that we talk about, nobody knows. Nobody knows what you and I talk about every day. Like when we discuss Real Rap with Reynolds and our business, like nobody knows our ideas and our heart and our really nobody really knows those things. And so when people can see that and can confirm it, it feels really good.
Yeah.
And so it's not about the compliments or anything like that. It's confirmation that we're just doing, and we're moving in the direction that we need to be.
I'll tell you, like, just between you and I, okay, that was a joke.
Oh,
get it? Just
sorry.
anyway.
I started going back.
Let's
to
do
work.
it again, babe. Just between you and I. All right, okay.
We need a sound machine.
Folks at the conference this weekend were asking me like what happened, and when I told just a few things, people were like, "How did you stay there for multiple years with that happening?"
Yeah,
so,
I think that's the hard part with like the YouTube videos. Like there's a lot of things that you can't go into.
No, and you know what? Some of that is too, dude. It's not even this. It's not even the school. It's the students that have to go there. Like my God, like I had dudes hit me up all week that asking me questions and stuff like that, and like checking in, like supporting me.
If you saw them, because there's so many comments to read. You had a bunch of students.
I will read all of them, but yeah. So look, with that, and not just because of the support, but just because look, we want to help people the best that we can in big ways and in little ways. And so last week we asked you to put your where you were from, and then I looked through I took all of the names of anyone that was on the live portion of the live feed, and we picked out 5 winners for stuff. So these people, what I'm going to do is I'll say your name. If you could please shoot us an email with a mailing address that we could send stuff to, and then we're gonna send you some free stuff. So 2 people won my book. If you already have my book, you could just send me a name of someone that you want to have the book, and I'll sign it to them. Otherwise, if you don't have it yet, I'll sign it to you. So winner number 1 was Shayna Gherkin, won a copy of Teach Your Class Off. And then my boy Jacob Ingram, who I just remember because he has such a great profile picture on there too. You also won a copy of Teach Your Class Off.
Woo-hoo.
And then I was gonna just give away. I have these like tons of these expo marker situations. So I don't. Here's what I'm gonna add. So there's 2 people that I was gonna give this away to, but this didn't feel like enough. I want to make like one of those kits that we made for back to school. For people with like a little bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, because we have all kinds of
tons of school supplies. So teacher supply boxes are going to go to, if I ruin your name or if I don't even know your real name because you put a screen name on there, you know who you is. I don't even know why I just said that. Macaroni Magpie from Illinois, right? That's the name on there, right? So we're going to send you a teacher supply box, and Stephanie, I think it's Kiel, Kiel, from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You're going to get a teacher supply box also. And then for the big one, we want to give away a $100 gift certificate that you can use. Look, you could use it to bless your classroom. You could use it for coffee for me, that's a couple weeks. For like, depends on my coffee consumption when I'm at school. You could spend it on boxes of wine. I don't, you do you. So, but that $100 gift
Or
card.
go get a massage.
What's that?
Or go get a massage.
You could go get a massage. Is going to Mrs. Parham's class. That was the screen name on there. So, shoot us an email at realrapwithreynolds.com. You can even get to us right through the website if you can't remember the email address. And which is, you can go right there. Contact us and we will send those out post haste. And then, I have the winners somewhere for I'm giving away that Darius book at some point.
We already have them. And
oh, do you?
Well, no, I thought we already picked them,
Yeah,
but we didn't notify anybody yet.
No, but I had it written down.
Yeah, it's on a different piece of paper somewhere. Oh my gosh, can you tell our lives are super busy and I swear we're trying to get more organized.
Okay, I need to brush my hair today.
No,
all
stop.
Right. Let's kick it.
All right, take that down.
It's warm back here.
That's because we have all this sound stuff up. It gets hot back here.
There's a lot of soundproofing going on.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, I lost my question. First up, though, is John Lopez.
My man.
So you never know what you're going to get.
You never know what you're going to get. Could be a question about pens.
All right. John's asking, what is the difference between an overachiever and simply just doing one's job? I love these questions, John.
When I think of overachievers, John, it sounds like someone to like, look, I want to do great work. So I was hanging with Kevin Butler this weekend, who has a really, really great book. And I meant to buy it and I forgot.
Because you were breezy talking.
I think it's called Lights, Camera, Teaching. And he teaches out in LA and he is awesome. I mean, he rattled off ideas that I was like, oh snap. Like, I want to use every single one of these. Like, you should be telling everybody about these ideas. So it was incredible. So one of the things he does, the really short version, he has a smart board behind him, which already comes with class. And every day a different child signs up during homeroom and they do a 10-minute morning show. So it's like is it Michael and Kelly or I don't really,
I don't know.
I'm like Ellen or Kelly Clarkson, that kind of thing. Right. So it's a morning show and the kid has to bring in a current event and then he sits them down and they have like little chairs and they have like the flowers on the table and all this stuff. And he does like, oh, all right. So like, welcome back to homeroom. Like, what'd you do this morning? Or what'd you do last night? And then the kid tells a little bit about what they did last night or this weekend or whatever. And then this student is in charge of saying something along the lines of like, well, speaking of which, something else that happened this weekend was, did you see that in Philadelphia, blah, 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 blah. And they share a current event and then they do a quick little game. So the game that I posted on Instagram, you get a glass of water, you fill it up pretty high. There's 2 glasses. So then he had a water bottle and he had to put a little bit of water in his glass. Then I had to put a little bit in my glass. And then you keep going back and forth. But the funny thing about water is that the water goes up way above the rim. Oh. Because apparently, and I don't know this because I teach high school English, I think it's some kind of bond. The water molecule bond is like holding on. They bond so much stronger than other molecules. So then he makes like a little lesson out of it, but they keep going until someone's thing spills and that person,
that's just the beginning of the class.
That's just the first 10 minutes of the school day during homeroom.
Oh,
every day.
Fun.
So he got in trouble and he's not supposed to do it anymore because other teachers were complaining that he was having too much fun in his classroom.
Why does this happen?
So my answer to your question, John, is an overachiever to me that's just fine. But when I think of overachievers, they're the kind of people that are like, oh, do you know what we do? You know what we do in our homeroom? You know why it's so magical? They like want to stand apart and it's almost a snobby sort of a thing instead of someone that's like, so Kevin was like, yo, I'll tell you what I do every day. Like, y'all can just do it also. Like, do something awesome in your class. And so that was an overwhelming theme this weekend of like folks that are doing incredibly cool stuff in their classrooms and then getting hate from other teachers because they're like, yeah, you're making no one want to come to my class. I'm sorry. Come again? Like,
it's really sad. I think people just don't teachers just don't, or I don't know. I don't want to say teachers, but
that would be like Burger King showing up at Chick-fil-A and being like, yo, all this my pleasure stuff. Yo, No one wants to work at Burger King anymore.
Right,
Then
right.
change the game, bro. So that's what I think of it. Like, I love
So
the
you're
idea of
the
overachieving.
overachiever.
Yes. But it's bringing people to your party and inviting people in, and
My daughter needs me, so I need to move to the next question.
she's
Come on.
all right, go ahead.
Wait, okay. So our next
She's
question
coming.
is from Nassim. He's
All right.
asking the big one, that everybody asks. Do you regret leaving?
So that's a great question. I do not. And let me tell you why. One, because my school became an incredibly, and like I said before, I don't really want to go into that. Like, if you meet me in public one time and you want to ask me, I'll tell you whatever. But it became an incredibly unstable, unhealthy place to work. I do miss the students. I'm trying to, one of my plans this year that's not been easy, go figure, is to try and book events for students so that my student, like, I'm partnering with teachers that still work in the school. I'm on the back end connecting teachers and students with activities, with trips, with things of that nature. That's one of the goals this year. But I, like I said in the video, I serve this higher calling, and that has never let me down. It's oftentimes confusing to follow what I believe is a calling to do something, to live somewhere, to go somewhere. Like when we moved to Africa, where we lived in Africa for 2.5 months, because I felt that was the calling. When I lived in a monastery for a little while, that was the calling. When I wanted to be a clown, that was a calling. And some of those things switched, and I never got there, but I took the experience of that and then poured it into something else. This feels no different. This feels like it is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And
it's been quite a journey to get to this point.
yeah,
it's definitely
it
not
wasn't a bad
something...
year. It wasn't a bad 2 years. It was 5 principals in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been
1,000 other things. So
yeah. I just think, like, that's the part that people can't see, is like that whole long process to get to this decision.
But I'll tell you this. That wasn't the only reason I left, right? I feel, and look, I don't want to compare it to anybody else's situation, right? I know a lot of people are going through really hard school years and
it's really
many
tough
years
right
and
now.
things like that. For me though, it felt like a pull from, like, it had to be that bad to get me out of the classroom.
Yeah,
Like,
because
I
you
wouldn't have
never...
left.
Yeah,
And
you wouldn't.
so to, like, it felt like that holy discontent that I talked about to pull me out of the classroom.
Well, the funny thing is, even people who are like, really, you didn't have, even though let me rephrase that, there's chaos going around in your school, but in your classroom, you were successful. You had great, the kids behaved. You didn't have, like, I mean,
we had a great year last year.
Issues, right? Every year, but like overall, like, your classroom still maintained what it always maintained.
Kayla and I had a really good year last year.
Yeah. It was just dualistic. It was weird the whole year, because it was that twofold. All right. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Sharon is up next, asking, I've been asked in the past week to write 3 college recommendation letters. I've never done it before. Any tips or guidance on how to write one?
Oh, sure. So Sharon, I think one I would check with your college department to see, like, are they like, what they're going to give you tips and tell you what they're looking for when like they're going to know the process a bit more. But one of the things I always try to do is not write everything. I typically do like a 1 page, close to 1 page, never more than 2. And I always tell a story about a student that is shows some quality that is like, this is the kind of kid you want at your school. Like, like, they're incredible. And I do not write a lot of college recommendation letters. It is like, if just because someone asks me does not mean that I say I'll do it. It is a very specific, like, situation that I want to do, because I want it to be authentic and I want to really have a story. And I don't necessarily just want to pull that story from 9th grade, which is what I, taught for so long. And now you're a senior. So it has to be a really strong connection, but I like to tell a story first and then break down why this was important to me, what I saw, but like what I read between those lines a little bit, and then how that would manifest into them being a really great addition to the program that you have at your school. So that's how I always start that one.
All right. Kelly is up next asking, have you ever felt judged by other teachers for putting extra time and your own money into your classroom?
This is the face I'm giving you right here. Yes, all the time, man. And that's tricky, but like I had this conversation this weekend, again, where like my buddy Kevin Butler or my friend Becky Schnexer, they are above and beyond teachers. Like Becky teaches science and middle school, high school science, and is never inside. She only teaches outside. And she gets a lot of stuff for this. And she's at a really like what she thought was going to be an incredible school this year. But it turns out that it's the same old stuff that everyone else is dealing with. So it's because what happens is, and I think this is the quote that I read before, your angels aggravate other people's demons. And whether you're like, that's your jam is angels and demons. I'm not going there, but it's like the light upsets the darkness. And so it's when I do that though, here's how I try to get around that. Cause I mean, you've seen my room, it's way over the top. And to be in it, you kind of get even more of a sense of like, it's the lighting, it's a lot of things, but it's my room and I got to be in here all day. So I want to be somewhere that's great. And two, I want a place that kids want to be in. Like I want them to see stand-up desks and themselves in the library. I want them the music and the smell and the lighting. I want all that for kids. And so when anyone has ever come in and said like, oh man, I love a lot of people don't know this. I love your floating bookshelves. Oh, really? Would you like some? And then I either have extras that I've just made over the years that I've had because I've had them in different configurations and in different locations, or I just make some for them. Like if someone was like, oh man, I love this book that you have on your shelf, just take it. Go ahead and have it. If someone said, hey, would you come up to my room and help me like sort of like kind of dream up a scenario or figure out like what I could do in here or what I could build in here all the time. Yeah, let's just do it. I'll come up after school and we'll do it. So to me, it's when you're doing lessons or having things in your classroom that are incredible, it's inviting people into your awesome. I talk about this in my book, where like it is inviting people into your awesome because it's not just, I often wonder this. If the party that your neighbor's having that's super loud, it goes way too late, they're laughing and carrying on all night. And let's say you're the neighbor that calls the cops. Are you calling the cops because it's too loud and over the top? Or are you just pissed that you didn't get invited? So it's inviting people into your awesome. And then the other thing is if somebody needs help with what they're doing, it's offering it up. Like this is a skill that I have, right? Like I like building stuff. I like creating spaces. So, oh, you like that? Yeah. Do you want to talk about your room? Like I could maybe we could make some flying books for your room, or I could show you how I do it. Or I actually have a YouTube video. You can just follow along, put some in your room. And it's encouraging people to be awesome also, instead of just trying to stand out for standout sake. It's like trying to have that permeate out through your school.
All right.
What you got, dude?
Amanda asking, are you excited about the Phillies' success this year? Let's go Phils.
I was in Ohio and they were watching some dumbass college football game. And I'm like, bro. Like, and so I just keep seeing it on Instagram or because a bunch of people from school, like King was there and Hannah was there and stuff.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. It makes me really wish, like that's one of those moments that like if I was in school, the kids would be super stoked. Everyone would be wearing Phillies gear. They'd be coming in and talking about the game and stuff. And so between the Phillies and the Eagles right now, who are I'm unaware of anything about the game today. I don't even know if they played today or anything.
No, it doesn't start till like 8 o'clock.
All right, so they're undefeated right now as well. Yeah, it's really exciting to go through.
Yeah. Yay. All right. Next up is Summer. Let me Find her. All right. Summer's asking, how can I make PLC and team meeting time valuable when my team are literally bumps on a log? These meetings are mandatory, but it feels like a time energy suck.
Summer, a friend of mine, Allison, who I've already referenced today, Allison Apsey, says she was a principal for, I think, 20 years at 2 different schools. And she says she starts the year with she does icebreakers, but I don't know that it's about the icebreaker. So she did an icebreaker in her session, and it was really great because we did it on an app. And she said, what was your favorite TV show as a child? And so you just typed it in, and then it went up on the board, and you didn't know who was who. And it was really funny because
this sounds like the best icebreaker ever.
So it was great because it was so low stakes. You didn't have to raise your hand. You have to say it out loud, right? So I said Knight Rider. So I see Knight Rider pop up, and then I see Knight Rider pop up again. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's another Knight Rider person.
What are the odds?
For all the children that are too young for this, Knight Rider was an incredible TV show starring David Hasselhoff.
Do you have the picture of the car that we saw?
I did. I just ran into the Knight Rider because I was going to send it to Lopez. Chris Carson, I thought he'd know what it was too. So anyway, it was really fun because it gave a point of contact, right? And I'm not a big icebreaker person, but then what she did next was really interesting. Allison said that she asks her staff, and I think you could do this in a PLC meeting as well. What would support look like from school leadership this year? What is one way that school leadership could support you this year that would be awesome? And then everyone just shares. They throw these things up there in the same exact way. So the first one was a really easy question, so you knew how to do it. Then you throw up these answers. And she does it a couple different ways. It's a one-word answer, and the other one is like you can just have a brief statement, like a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so good because she's like, the next thing I do is tell leaders in our school to ask a lot of questions, but then you have to actually listen to the answers. And so there's a difference here, right? So in meetings like this, there's commiserating, which I don't know is particularly useful. Sometimes like venting, very, very useful. Commiserating is like, oh, did you see what they did to their, yeah, I know. Can you even believe
Right. Just complaining to complain.
And,
right.
But that builds a culture of complaining.
Right.
And so if I was in a PLC and I was leading it, it's asking those questions, it's getting answers, and then it's trying to do your best to figure out a solution to help those folks out, because then PLC becomes actually useful. So that could be lesson planning. Like I remember when Jen List used to do it with us, we actually plan lessons in there. We'd be like, does anyone have, like, you're working through something, you're going through a lesson, it's really difficult right now, you're not sure what to do. Kids aren't really grasping it. They're not really getting down with the idea that you came up with. And it was so great because then someone would be like, yeah, I'm trying to teach this. And we'd all sit around and we're like, yeah, all right, so have you tried this? Or what about this? Oh, it'd be really fun. So you start using it for what it's supposed to be used for, but in a really like practical way.
What if you can't get anybody to participate because there's such bumps on a log?
I'll tell you what. I mean, look, Summer, I'm not in that room.
I want to get rid of the option of like, how severe are we going on this? Like, are we really, really severe? And like, what would you do if it's that severe? Well, I love just even this face right now.
I'm going to go extreme on this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go extreme on this answer. I used to lead this group for my church. We had these meetings called cell meetings, and I used to get like all the folks that like, they'd be like, if someone was like,
I hope nobody's listening.
No, I don't care. Watch this. I'm not saying anyone's name. We used to have folks that like,
it was all a lot of shy people together.
A lot of shy people, a lot of unstable people, a lot of like, and that's fine. Look, enter in who you are. I don't want you to be anything you're not. But the expectation was like, when you showed up in this small group, we were going to talk through things. We were going to work real life problems out. And I'd throw a question out there and I'd say, does anyone have anything they want to talk about? And it was crickets every week for like 5 weeks in a row. And so that 5th week, I finally called everyone out and I was like, yo, what are we even doing here? Why do you come if we're not trying to be better? If we're not trying to get better? I do the same thing with students. Why are you in my class right now if you're not going to do anything? You're not tied to a chair. No one handcuffed you to the desk. You don't have to be here. You just go sit in the bathroom. There's seats in there. You can, but you're just showing up to either be a wild distraction or to not do work. So I'm just wondering, what are we doing here? Let's just have a real conversation about it. And I did that. And then the next week, I didn't show up on purpose to the cell meeting because they would have to talk if I wasn't there. Even if they were just talking about me not being there,
right?
Somebody was going to have a conversation because I wasn't going to show up and do this thing that no one wanted to do. That'd be like showing up to a band practice and you're the only one that wants to play their instrument. And it's just is anyone else? We doing this or not? So I think it's sometimes, and it doesn't have to be that aggressive, but sometimes it's entering into the difficult conversation of here's my hope for this. Here's what the school wants. Here's my hope. What do we want? We might as well use this time. We're sitting in here for 45 minutes or whatever. What are we doing? And it's exercising that. But I mean, they're grown-ups. It's I just say I think that your level of success in almost anything in life is your ability to have difficult conversations. And so that's how I would start that off.
All right. I hope that answers that for you, Summer. Okay. Elizabeth is up next asking, so a local school needs a science teacher immediately. Do you think it's a good idea to talk to the principal about it?
Sure. I think that, but the best job interview I ever went on was the school that was my last school that I worked at. Because I didn't need that job. Did I want it? Yeah. Was it a great school? Uh-huh. Was it way better than where I came from? Yes. It was more money. It was everything. I had a classroom with windows. I mean, I came from first 5 years, I didn't have a window. Actually, I did have one window and it was about this big. It looked like it was in the back of a van.
One of those tiny trailer windows.
Yeah. So but I went in and it was so great. I think I got the job because I was so relaxed because it wasn't there were no stakes. So I think going in and interviewing the school. So interviews are not just the school interviewing you. It's you interviewing the school to see if this is a good fit. And I'll be honest with you, with the teacher shortage right now, there's never been a better time in history that I know of
for teachers to really interview schools.
Yeah, be yo, do I even want to be here? What are y'all paying? What are the duties involved alongside with teaching? How many different classes? Do I get my own room? Do y'all wear jeans?
Are you really putting me in the class that I'm am I going to teach? I see people complaining about this in our group right now. They're teaching stuff that they're I'm not supposed to teach this. This is not what my degree is in or what I know how to teach.
Walker that I taught with, that was her big complaint. She was a history major. And then they brought her as an English teacher, and then they complained how she taught English. She's like, "Bro, I didn't do this.
I think someone's taught history science or something. I was reading, and I'm like, oh gosh."
Just because history and English are a dime a dozen, there's more of us than there are of any other teacher probably. But especially as a science teacher, I'd go in and see what you could do with that. And then I'm going to plug Becky Schnetzer's book, Expedition. I have it in the other room. I forget what it's called. But her book it's on my Instagram. I've plugged it. I'm going to plug it again this week. That's worth doing if you're going to get a science teacher job.
I don't know. Oh yeah, this is a science teacher. Sorry.
So I think it is. It's worth going. It's go take a look, to give it a shot, see what happens.
All right. Up next is Katie asking, what is your advice for looking for another job while being a full-time teacher, looking for more watered pastures, but also can't afford to leave current school without something lined up?
For sure. So Katie, I think it is, one, it's starting to put stuff out there. So I would say one of the things I just try, this might work, it might not work. Go into our Facebook group if you're not already a part of it, Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk. And on Facebook, it's a closed group, which means that there are some people that have other folks from their school that are in there. I found out, but by and large, there are no companies. No one can just enter into the group. So your admin's not going to just kind of stumble upon it or something like that. And just see, hey, look, I teach this subject. this grade level in this part of the country. Does anyone know of any jobs that are available? It is, I think when we start actively looking, start actively asking people, it things start showing up, right? It is, I've talked about this a few weeks ago. It's just part of your brain called your reticular activating system. And what it does is it cancels out all the extra stuff that's around you. Because if you paid attention to literally every single thing that was going on, so if you're listening to me, and we're not talking about ADD here, we're talking about like next level. So you're paying attention to the flickering candles, and is there an eyeball on that crow back here? Yes, there is. Of course there is. You're paying attention to the light. You're paying attention to every once in a while you can see my wife's reflection in one of these frames here. It's cancels all that stuff out. But so I explain it to my students like this. If I said, close your eyes, you can even do this right now if you want. Close your eyes. And I want you to think about anything on my screen that was pink. And really think about that. Take a second and think about that. And then if you open your eyes and you look at the screen, you start noticing how many things are pink, right? From my book to the Philly thing over here, to some of the colored pencils and markers that I have over here and stuff like that. Maybe if it's clear enough, you can see some of these colored paper clips and stuff. When we start looking for a thing, we start seeing a thing. When maybe it's like when my wife bought a RAV4, I'd never seen a RAV. She brought it home. I'm like, where the hell did you get this car? Like, what is this? Then all of a sudden, I just start looking around the neighborhood, and like everyone has a RAV4. All of a sudden, I'm like, damn, would they all buy them like at the same time? Like, so it's start asking, start looking, start paying attention, and I think things are going to show up when you do that. If anyone else has a resource, maybe you could even say what state you're from. And because I know different states have different resources. If you put what state you're from, maybe if someone in the comments knows like a good idea in that state, what you could do, that would be awesome. I'm so hot right now. I'm glad I have a t-shirt on under this. I think I have a t-shirt on. Yes, I do. Okay, good. It was going to get real weird for a second.
Yeah, if you didn't, goodness. Okay, goodness. It's the late night show.
It is.
All right, Sarah's up next asking, have you ever had an impromptu observation by a DH/admin on an off day when your kids were crazy? How did you handle it?
So I had, Sarah, one of my issues last year was I think I had 15 observations by January. And none of them did I get a heads up. So it kind of became a game because the kids were all like, I would have kids in there. I had a student one time that I said they were reading journal entries, assistant principal sitting in the back of the room. And he goes, yeah, this one time I was like with my friends and we were at the store and they thought we stole something. And the guy was like, you stole chips. And I was like, bro, what? I wouldn't steal any effing chips. And then just like kept telling the story. So afterwards, I knew she was going to say something about this. I get pulled into the office for like the 1100th time last year. And it's, so we're condoning swear words in your classroom. And I'm like, all right, I knew this was going to be an issue. I don't. But to be honest with you, that student never participates. And the fact that he even raised his hand and shared his story, I was just like, this is so great that he said it. Yeah. I said, and I spoke to him after class and said, like, look, man, like, if for no other reason, like when the AP's in the room, like, could you just chill with the language? And he was like, my bad. I didn't even know I said it. It was my bad. I'm sorry. She goes, well, why didn't you just call him out on it right then? I said, but because he participated. And so like, it was like even little things like that I would get in trouble for last year. And like, that was like a letter that went in my file. So it has happened. But then what it became after that was a game where I would tell the kids, we had this thing where like anybody that walked in my room got a round of applause. And if it was an administrator, they got a standing ovation by the students. And it was it was really funny because like any rando, like your friend comes in to borrow your stapler real quick or something like that, and the kids all applaud for them. And they're just like taking it back. And it used to drive Cho crazy. She'd just look at me and go, so it was just kind of fun. But then the game was, if anyone comes in, you are to be the most perfect class that anyone could ever walk into. And the kids thought it was hilarious.
Because it was a game.
But I'll tell you what, it did also. It wasn't just to be sarcastic and funny. students that never participated, right? That literally stared at the ceiling. They'd be like, Mr. Reynolds, I have a thought about this particular topic that you just brought up. So they start like actually participating
Oh my
because
gosh, they like turn on the charm.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Haskell comes out, right?
But
Like,
in a way, babe, that like
did I say that
it
right?
was, yeah, in a way that was like, oh, now I know that you were paying attention. Now I know that you can speak up for yourself. Now I know that you can have a well placed thought. Like where I just thought like you were really nervous, or like I was wondering like what your comprehension level was,
Right.
or your processing level. Like now I'm in the know. So it woke up all these great things that I was like, that when they leave, I'm like, oh bro, guess what? We're on the hook now because I can see like where your head is, and you were just playing possum before or something, and it was awesome in 100 different ways.
Nice. Yeah, she said she's had really great observations as well.
Yeah.
But this was like, she's a first year teacher. Friday afternoon it happened.
Oh my, you see what I'm talking about? Like,
right?
What a dumb time to observe something. It's
She's like, she felt awful, she said.
Yeah, don't, because it is
more common than you think, probably.
Yeah, it's like you know what I liken it to? You would get this. When you take your kids out when they're little to a store and they have a meltdown, right? And then the whole store, all of Target's staring at you like you're the worst parent that ever lived. And all you want to do is just like give the finger to everyone and walk out of Target. But you're just like, it's this moment of you feel like a bad parent off this one solitary interaction.
And you can't judge yourself on that.
So yeah. And there's a whole lot to say about that too, like how you follow that up and stuff, but that's another time.
All right. KR is up next asking, I don't know how much you can share, so no pressure, but what's been your experience being a Christian in a public school setting?
So because my calling was to teach in a very specific type of school, right? Like all of my heroes have been folks that have worked in the margins and helped folks that were often forgotten by society, right? And so for me, our school, and I don't mean this, I'll put it out there just in case someone's wondering, this is not some sort of savior complex, right? This is going where you're called to, even though you're not even sure, like, what am I doing here? So our school's mission was to help Black males specifically to get to college and beyond, because Black males have the lowest graduation rate of any demographic in the United States of America. So that's what we did. And there were other kids, there were a handful of other sort of like we had a couple Asian kids once, we had one white kid once, like it was a little bit more mixed than just young Black males, but nonetheless, to me it was, let me say this, gosh, I'm trying to get this into a nutshell, because I could talk about this for a really long time. I think when you feel called to do something, there is a new level of like, I just feel like I could walk in the spaces and places a little bit more confident than I would if I didn't feel called to be there. And so a friend said to me recently,
I don't think it's just called. I think it's you're walking in your purpose.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like this is exactly what,
when you know
in
your heart that this is where you're supposed to be and this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Here's the difference. You're not fighting for victory. You fight from victory. And let me say that again. You don't fight for victory. You fight from victory. You already won. You're already in the space. You're already in the place. All the difficulty of being there is sometimes part of your growing process, is part of you practicing resurrection in that space. And so that was largely my thing. Now, look, I said this before, like until that video, like I never have said, except for on live feeds, I've rarely mentioned my spirituality, and my faith. And that was on purpose, right? And I largely got that from one of my greatest heroes of all time, Mr. Rogers, who never talked about the fact that he was an ordained minister, but just wanted the fact that the light that was shown on him, he was shining on other people. People kind of connected the dots, and that has happened for us as well. But like now, that is shifted. But it is, I'll tell you this, one of the great things too that I felt at the conference this weekend, since I've mentioned that, is that you start when you have a particular faith, and then other people in your school have that faith, you now have allies. And that is, man, it just gave me goosebumps. That's an extraordinary experience. So when you are like whatever, like you're
whatever your faith
Baptist,
is.
you're Christian, like whatever you identify yourself as, you're a Catholic, and you find other folks that are operating out of that same space, it is like,
it's empowering,
man, on like a deep level where they get the work also,
well,
hopefully.
and that's been a lot of just even in the comment, just everybody.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. But I'll say this, like you forgot to say this, and it's something that you've, or I don't think you did, that you've always said when people ask you about like being a Christian in a school setting, is you always have said, I operate by like, not by so much words of saying
Saint
you're
Francis.
Christian, right? And
Saint
like
Francis
talking
said,
about
"Preach
Jesus all the
always."
time, but it's your actions, right? Your love for students, your continual love, no matter even if they fail your class, like whatever it is, like you're always there to support and love. And I think that shows like that's how you operate in a public school setting. And I think you would operate like that if you were in a workplace. Like
that's how you operate
corporate.
Everywhere you go.
Mhm.
That's how you operate at Target and getting your oil changed and everything. Saint Francis said, preach always, and when necessary, use words. And that is something I've value that I've lived my life by.
Yeah. All right. I skipped Cheyenne's question, so we're going to go backwards.
Let's go back.
All right. Cheyenne's asking, are you going to be doing tours and meetups now?
Mm. Can I share my insane idea?
I mean,
it's a theory.
Really,
it's an
really,
idea.
really insane idea that CJ is playing with. You can go ahead and.
I have this idea that I had when I was driving to Akron. Driving to Akron, first of all.
You gave too much time to think, I think.
It was 7-hour drive about that. I got hit with so many emotions on the way. I have not stopped to process very much. Like I pray every morning, but like, I have not stopped to process. And then going there, I got 2 messages. One from a student that left a comment under the YouTube video, Frozone, who said that he tried to visit me at school and the school turned him away. And the other was Joe. Joe's name at that time, I changed it. He's in my book. I changed his name in my book because I didn't want his young decision to follow. Like I didn't want that to be traced back. Whatever.
To him anyway.
Joe was the young man who I ate lunch with every day, and I found out that his friend had been shot and killed, and then that's why he was exhibiting certain behaviors in my classroom and in school. Joe calls me, yo, where you at, Reynolds? I said, I'm in my car. Oh, did you go for coffee? Because everyone knows I go for mediocre coffee every day. No, I'm on my way to Ohio. Bro, what are you doing in Ohio? So I said, I'm on my way to go speak somewhere. Oh, he says, I'm in front of the school. I said, oh, for real? And he goes, yeah, but they won't let me in. I brought my nephew up to meet you, and I just wanted to come see you. And so I was like, I had to tell him that I didn't work there anymore. And he was like, what? And like when I got off the phone with him,
broke your heart.
I'm crying in the car in the middle of Pennsylvania, like trying to navigate this rainstorm that I'm driving through. And it was a heavy moment.
Oh, and it's because it's who it is also. It's like a kid that you have a huge connection with.
So then it made me, then I got angry that school sucks so bad for so many kids. And what can we do? Like what drastic action could we take as Real Rap with Reynolds to help teachers and help schools in mass? So I have this idea. I am trying to figure out logistics. I am thinking about taking a road trip around the country, and I will speak at any school for free with the hopes that will eventually lead to some paid gigs. Because I've not been doing a lot of speaking. I couldn't leave my school last year. I got in trouble for taking off too many days to go do stuff. And that's a whole nother thing. And it's probably valid. That one's probably valid. But it is, where can I get in my car or rent a camper, and I'm going to drive around the country, and I will speak at any school that will have me for free. or they could just kind of like pay what they can. Like if you can just give me some
Yeah,
gas
there
money.
has to be a caveat of like, how can we make money? But
Well,
it
we
doesn't
thought
have to
about
be
doing
like,
a Patreon,
yeah,
and then like maybe folks could
donation.
donate something so that just so I can get to the next place.
Keeping Reynolds on the road.
But like we thought for like a few weeks that might be an idea of something that we would do. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that. Like if you could leave me a comment or a message or something like that, like if you think that that would be useful. Everybody I talked to this weekend that was a speaker just looked at me like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do it for free? And I'm like, because I want to speak. I want to speak at like some of my favorite spots I've ever spoken at have been juvenile detention centers.
Well, it's
have
the
been
most
prisons.
underserved, right?
Yeah,
Like
have
always.
been like to it like someone who like a school, a poor school that is on a reservation that could never afford to have a speaker there. It's like literally give me lunch and I'll come speak at your school. And if you don't have lunch, I'll just take a hug. But is what kind of drastic action could we take to get out there to start connecting with people and to just love on teachers and show up and help. So that's my thought.
Are you gonna vlog your
I will record the entire thing.
old school vlog?
Yeah. So then Jeremy will get an 8-hour video from me to do something with.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's what we're thinking about.
It's a crazy idea. Okay, you got me all distracted.
Sorry.
Now.
My phone's got me distracted. We keep getting spam. And I just got one that said, "Are you constipated?" Bro, what? One, no. And two,
why are you sending me that?
thanks for asking.
All right, Katie is up next. Oh goodness, asking tips for teaching while sick. I teach middle school ELA, so lots of energy needed to keep up with the kiddos.
So one, Katie, take off. Don't feel bad about taking off. John Lopez does it regularly, even when he's not sick. He gets the intentional flu. The other thing, yeah, I love it too, because he always sends me pictures of martinis and scallops. The other thing is
this is prescription.
Those are if
Sorry.
you can't take off. Yeah, if you can't take off, Dr. Lopez says martinis and scallops. The flip side of it is to do find something that's low stakes that your students can do. And actually before that, it's telling kids that you're not well. That like whether you have a really bad toothache or you have, like I mean, some ailments are a little bit more personal. You don't really necessarily want to say them, but you can just tell kids you don't feel. Look, I just really don't feel well. I need a day or 2 or 3. So I'm going to give you this work. And if we can do this, we're going to, for half of a class, we're going to watch a movie. I used to still have kids read. I would show Spirited Away or something like that so that movie, I forget what it was. I don't know if it was Chinese or Japanese. I forget where that movie was initially created. But anyway, I would play it in its original form and then put subtitles so they had to follow along with the movie and read it so that they knew what the hell was going on. So, admin would come in, they're like, "You're watching a movie again?" I'm like, "Dude, we're reading a movie right now. And we're reading and growing and learning and doing all this stuff." So it's either taking off or explaining to your students that you don't feel well and then creating a low stakes lesson, whether that's reading, whether that's an audiobook, whether it's a movie, a TV show. But I think that's a way to get through it.
Oh, that's me. Is it my turn?
What are you laughing at over there?
I'm laughing. This isn't like
you
from
have
a
to
while
be on
ago.
camera.
I know. Chris Carson, he says, my coworker used to give me grief about being too nice and not teaching anything. She asked one of my students why he liked me so much, and he said, "Everyone loves Santa Claus."
Oh.
I'm sorry. I can't read these comments quietly and not giggle to myself. Oh goodness. Now I have to find a question. I'm sorry.
Chris Carson is over here being Santa Claus over here.
Oh gosh. Okay.
What a great dude.
Oh, Barry over on Facebook is asking, have you ever considered educational leadership? You have an amazing energy and such a positive influence.
So, Barry, I have steered away from leadership my entire life. I've been asked a lot, but everyone I knew that was an assistant principal, they got stuck doing 2 things: lunch duty for 3 hours a day and dealing with everyone else's problems. And I'm not against dealing with everyone else's problems, but it just felt like less time interacting with students. And that's why I got into the work that I got into. I want, like, as a teacher, especially when I learned how to say no to like all the things that I was asked to do so that I could just focus on kids, then that was like the dream part of the job, where I wasn't doing 57 other tasks or an extra class, or can you cover a class? My school had such teacher loss last year. Some teachers were covering 2 to 3 times a day. So all your preps. And it got to the point where I told them, you have one, I'll do one a week. That's it. And if you give me another one, I'm just not going to it. So just be prepared. And then they like, that would be it.
Well, tell people how you handled it, so they know.
I would
like,
email the principal and say, there must have been a misalignment.
No, you would get an email in the morning that said you have a coverage or something, and then you would email back and say,
there must have been an error because I already covered a class this week. And as I told you before, I will not cover any other classes unless my salary is increased or I get what that teacher was getting paid for the day. And that's just how I did it. And then they'd be like,
they literally just didn't
know what to do. And I'm like, but I will not be in 109 at 8:00 in the morning because it's my prep and I already had things scheduled. I was like tutoring kids, helping other people out, helping other teachers out that were melting. So the thing right now, Barry, that I feel so unbelievably empowered by is that I get to do that work. I get to do that leadership work when I want, where I want. So I'm driving around the country, going to schools. I can do whatever I want when I want. And if anyone that knows me that as I've ever spoken at your school, I don't ever like just come in for my session and then dip. I'm like, if folks are like, can I talk to you after this? Or can I talk to you after school? Or can I take you to lunch? Or can I get you a beer or whatever? It's like when you need a little bit more, I love it. Like, let's do it. Yeah, hell yeah. Like, I'm glad that you're asking me to do something. Do you want to come look at my classroom real quick? I have something cool that I made in there. Yep. Let's go. I would love to look at your classroom. So that it feels like I'm getting to do a little bit of that work now, although it's not like in an official capacity.
I just feel like if you go into a role, someone else asked this, and so I'm not going to get to this question, but they're asked like, would you do college professor or like open a school and all these things? And I think the thing that we continue to come back to with all of those questions, because right, you could have just left your school and went to a new school. Yes. But that's not what you're feeling led to do next, right? And really any of those other roles and positions, they still just they allow you to, it's just not a far enough reach, really. And that's really what you're being called to, is like the ways in which we're planning and trying to do and imagining and dreaming now gives a bigger reach into not just teachers, but like school leaders and principals, and trying to help shape schools. If we can try and help work and shape schools to support their teachers better and make changes within their school to really be a voice for teachers, we can make such larger change that way than we could if it was just.
You're partially right? Because then I meet educators like someone I knew, and then a new guy, this guy, Josh, I had not met before. Josh and Mike Earnshaw have a podcast called the Punk Rock Classrooms. And Mike Earnshaw teaches in a district that has wild turnover, right? His school, no turnover. He's been a principal there for 10 years and he said, we will occasionally have a para leave for a different position, but teachers don't leave because they love what he's doing.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And
there are schools that are doing it right.
Yeah.
There are schools that are great. That
How
do
many
it right.
messages have we gotten from people that are like, I really feel bad for people because my school's like, it's been my best 2 years ever.
Yeah.
And I want to say Josh Prater was saying that to me one time.
It's just hard, right? It's like we recognize that it's not just teachers that need to change. I think there's things that teachers can do.
Well, it starts from the top, right?
Right.
It's John.
But it starts with yourself.
Maxwell's law of the lid. It is, you can only be as good as your admin is being. You can only be as good as any business's leadership.
Facts.
And so
they won't let you be any better than them.
Great businesses are great because they have great leaders, and crappy businesses suck because they have crappy leaders. It's not the workers. It's never the workers.
So it's not about just, for us, at least in our business and our visions, it's not just supporting teachers, although they are the backbone, obviously, and the major. It's really trying to help and influence admin and leaders to see what teachers really need. And how they can better support them.
Yeah. Punk Rock Classrooms. That's worth, I mean, I'm going to go check it out. I've not listened to it yet, but talking to those dudes, whew, man.
Yeah.
We closed the bar the other night.
All right, let's do a few
Just
more because
talking.
we've been very chatty.
Let's do it.
All right, John Fox is asking, whenever I say take out your book and open to whatever page, my students take forever. Some start chatting, some start looking for the book, some say, what page? Any advice for transitions like this?
So we are, John, we're going to actually do it. I'm going to give you an answer, but we're going to do, it was supposed to be ready last Wednesday. And sometimes it's too much work to get everything done.
Well, and part of us building a whole business is like building those teams to help do all these things. And that's a lot to do.
Student engagement workshop we're doing. And one of the things we're going to cover is transitions. I think that one of the ways to do transitions is to make them fun, to make them a competition, to like, I'm giving something out for the first 12 people to have this ready, right? You're going to get this
candy.
Now I'm going to tell you, and are we ready? I'm going to tell you what book and what page. All right. Yeah. Because kids love candy or stickers. And then I would do stuff like I'd give kids great stickers. And then if you were like the 13th kid to have it, it's like, all right, you didn't do too bad. I'd cut a sticker in half and give you that. I'm like, you get half a kitten, like, or like whatever.
Half a smile.
Yeah. And I always get like the craziest, weirdest stickers. Five Below is a great place. They have great stickers there. And they're 5 and below. So this is not a paid ad, but if 5 Below is watching, send me an email. But they like that's a really fun way to do that. Or to have kids like have clues around the classroom where you have to try and figure out what page, like you just make it like just a little bit extra. It doesn't take long. It's 60 seconds or less.
Wait, come on. Just writing it on the board isn't going to work because I'm really boring. That's what
you could literally write it as large as you want on the board. You could set your hair on fire, and in the midst of the fire are candles that say 1, 6, 8, and the kids go, "What page are we on right now?" Are you kidding me? I don't have hair anymore because that's how hard I went. That even when I have those signs, I talk about in my talk about how like I make those signs in the hallway. It's like vocab test today on this big giant poster board, right? I'm standing out there. Sometimes it has lights around it. Sometimes there's music. Sometimes I'm yelling it down the hallway while holding the sign, and kids will still come to my class and go, "Yo, what? We have a vocab test today, bro? I swear."
So John is not alone.
No. But I think trying to come up with ways to make it fun, or that they have to pay attention, or it's gamified, helps kids to want to get something.
Again, it comes back to because it's fun.
Yeah,
because you made it fun.
Yeah.
All right, Sherry's asking, how do you build your confidence or feeling strong in every class?
Sherry, I had a really, really great conversation last night where it is. I want you to really think about this. Where are you on your value list, right? So when you think of the things you value the most in your life, right? So for me, it's God, then it's me, then it's my wife, then it's my kids, then it's school, then it was Real Rap with Reynolds that has since moved up a notch. Then it is fun, and then it is friends, right? That's my value list in my life. So if I'm really number 2, that means I'm putting more into me than into anyone else. And then we're not just talking self-care, right? Because self-care is like I'm not just talking about like get a massage once a month or like, hang out with your friends. I'm talking about pouring into yourself. So when I knew last year that I needed to go back to therapy, it was no BS. What does it take? I need to go back to therapy.
And say, literally, last school year was the year that you had to do all the things that you're saying. Like you put, I don't know if anybody noticed, the only thing we had out last year were Sunday night teacher talks.
No,
there was
I couldn't put videos out. I put more videos out in the last 3 weeks than I've put out all last school year.
He could only do what he could do. And it was literally surviving the school year.
So it was going back to therapy. I would do sensory deprivation float tanks, which is a weird one. And it's not for everybody, but it was great. Salt rooms, massages, chiropractors, exercising way more and consistently. I heard someone say last year, when you don't know what to work on yourself. It was thinking about the books I was listening to, the podcasts that I was listening to. And so in that, what that does, it doesn't just build you up, it unlocks you. So you start learning things about yourself, and you start learning that what you think is ordinary makes you extraordinary. What makes you weird is what makes you wonderful. And so when you start unlocking those things and realizing that like your silliness, so here's two examples. One, my silliness is something that often got me in trouble in school. It often made other teachers look at me like I was an idiot. And I would internalize that sometimes, and it was difficult, right? So although I was always doing it, it does get hard when you're getting kind of like you're getting crapped on too much, right? The other thing is, and this is the one that not a lot of people know about, but I'll be really vulnerable. I come from an utterly angry family. I was raised by my mom. My dad died when I was 4. I was raised by my mom's side of the family with family members that were in and out of jail, that struggled with substance abuse, alcoholism, drugs, like constant madness, like baseball bats by the front door on Thanksgiving because that one family member might come over, and then things had to get real. Like, so growing up in that, and then knowing that that anger is part of my makeup, it wasn't about me getting rid of anger and not being angry anymore. It was about me taking that anger, focusing on something. Because for me, there's turn the other cheek Jesus, and there's turn the table Jesus. And so it was getting mad at the injustices that I was seeing around me in my neighborhood, in my school, in my community that I was working in and living in, and then using that. So what that did, a lot of that self-work was, or work on myself, was unlocking things in myself that helped me to show up and to know, no, I like, this is good. Like, this is a gift that I have, that the school needs, that students need, that people need. And I don't have to be everything for everyone. But Seth Godin says people like us do things like this. Not every teacher would watch this teacher talk right now and be like, this is great. I love this. I love this advice. I love this energy. They're just like, there are people that are like, this is stupid. This is so dumb. You can't do that in my school. This is so, like, this guy's an idiot. There are haters, right? But they're not here.
Go look at
right?
Go look at the comments on the YouTube video.
Yeah,
they're there.
But people like us do things like this. So I think part of building confidence is unlocking what makes you wonderful, what makes you weird, what makes you different, what makes you not ordinary, but extraordinary. And then pouring gasoline on that fire. And, I have a really great YouTube video. I'm going to tell you it's really great, not because of me, but because of the story that I tell in it that is not even my own story, called Why Not Be Fire. You should go check out that video, and that will unpack this a little bit more for you.
All right. I mean, there's plenty more to keep
going.
Can
we do one more?
Okay, we can. Jill is
I don't want the podcast to go too long. Like, this turns out as if you never need it, this turns out as a podcast. It'll go out tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. It's supposed to go out. Yep. And Jake's back from vacation. He was all being bougie over there in Colorado with the fam.
So cute.
I know, his kid is cute as hell.
Okay, Jill's up next. She's asking, how do you deal with the students who won't attempt to do anything in class? I teach year 9s, business and economics and digital technologies in Australia.
Jill, I have answered this question so many times, and I love it. So I'm going to answer it for you full force. There's a lot of ways to deal with students that don't want to do anything. I have found that the most effective way, though, is to help kids unpack what in the world are you doing at school anyway. So when I have a kid, and in my school, the majority of our students were raised by single mothers and moms that had to work 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. Many of my students were raised by grandmothers or mom and grandmom together. And so when you have a kid who's living with mom and grandmom, mom's working 2 jobs, and grandmom already raised her kids, she shouldn't even have to be doing this anymore. It is really a question of, what do you want to do in your life? What do you want out of your life? And the answer is always one of 3 things. It's, I want to be in the NFL, even though you're 98 pounds soaking wet. You want to be a musician or some sort of artist, whether it's hip hop, whether it's a graffiti artist, whether it's something of that nature, or you want to be in the NBA, right? Those are the 3 top choices. Every once in a while, I'd say the 4th one is a business owner, but it's real generic and no one actually knows what that business is. So my question is, so when you're the average, so it's getting real with kids. Here is what it takes to get into the NFL. I'm not shooting down your dreams. I'm not telling you can't do it, but I'm saying that these are the criteria to get into the NFL. How are you going to do this when you're not on the football team right now? Because now you're just talking nonsense. Now you're not even trying to really be about it. You're just saying it because it sounds good or because it's what you're pipe dreaming about. So the average NFL career is 3 to 4 years. What are we doing with the rest of our lives after that? Right? You're not living off $1 million for the rest of your life, bro. Like, let's talk about that. So it's really getting kids to get real clear on what do they want to do? Where do you want to live? How many houses do you want to have in your house? How much money do you want to make a year? Or not even that one. Like, is what does your life look like? Are you taking care of your mom? Are you taking care of your grandmom? Are they just still working 2 jobs for the rest of their lives? Do you want to have a house with an extra bedroom because you know things get tough at your dad's house sometimes and that your little brother might need somewhere to stay and you want to be able to have that space for them? When your little sister goes off to college, do you want to be able to buy her all of the decor and her books and some new outfits and be able to drive her there yourself? Like, what do you want your life to look like? Then I have students, or I do it. I will write all this out. One time I've been known to even clear my desk, like literally like I'm in a movie, clear everything off my desk, push it on the floor.
Dramatic.
Because it gets the kids,
them,
right?
Yeah.
It is this persona right here that grabs them where they're like, oh snap, Reynolds ain't being silly anymore. And I draw it all over my desk and then I price it out and I go, this life costs about $65,000 a year. But what we're talking about right now is that you're going to go get a job working for Amazon for the rest of your life. And there's nothing wrong with that, except it doesn't align with your goals, right? So if Amazon's paying you 40 G's a year, you're not at 65 G's a year. And it's going to take you this long to get there. And then it's painting the picture. And then it becomes, how bad do you want the life you want? Do you want to be living in your mom's basement for the rest of your life next to the Christmas decorations? You call it your apartment, but we already know what it is, bro. You failed. So when you can get kids real clear on what you want and why you want it, it's for your little sister, it's for your brother, it's for your mom, it's for your dad that's been working his ass off since your mom died 2 years ago to just keep things together. Now, tell me you don't like math, because I don't care, because math is a game now. Latin is a game now. Reading of Mice and Men is a game now. Are you telling me you're letting geometry get in the way of your mom not having to work anymore? Of your grandma finally being able to retire and you can take her food shopping on Sundays and buy all her groceries? It becomes a conversation where now this is a game to get you to where you want to be at. And that conversation has changed more students' minds, more students' attitudes than any other conversation I've ever had with kids. Because now the last thing I tag that with is you need to know that you don't even got to do it alone. You have a whole community of educators here that want nothing more than to see you win and live the life of your dreams. So let's get to it. That's the conversation I have with kids.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's just making it real. Like, kids have to understand a why. When it's just because, like, that answer sucks. Yeah. You all hated when your parents said, because I said so.
A Bugatti's great. Go get yourself a Bentley. Awesome. Love it. But how we get it?
Yeah, it's like
right?
A little
in a real way.
Realistic
and then
plan.
Who else? What
makes kids
love that.
Oh, either like, and for some, I think you've even worked it out where like some are like, I don't even need school. It's like, well, what are you here for? This isn't what you want. It's like, but even having them question that in a real way is just
having kids
dramatic. Nobody's ever done that with them.
No, it's getting them clear on their purpose and their passion and their why. And then like, even when kids are like, yeah, but I don't need a lot of money. And it's like,
oh, I love it. Jill is business and economics.
Yeah.
Like she's got
talk to me about not needing a lot of money.
Sure.
And let me tell you what money unlocks, bro. Yeah. Money unlocks you to be the ability to bless people.
Yeah.
Like in a real way. You don't need the donor's choose when you got a bank account, when you can help people out. And then I can go on and on about it, but that's what I do with that.
All right. We got to answer one more because someone gave us a super chat, which was wonderful. Right. Thank you so much.
I'm fired up now.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Yeah, so they're asking, can you talk about your meditation? I know like that it brings up the amount. Gosh, I didn't mean to do that. Thank you, though.
It's a great question.
Can you talk about your meditation practice, and do you listen to a script for how long?
So I have done meditation for about more than 20 years. I started with like this adult class I just took at night. It was like my neighborhood I grew up in. They had like these classes. Do you remember doing this? It was like meditation in some woman's basement. And we used to fall asleep every week because I couldn't do it. I'd be like, and then I would pass out. So that then transitioned to something called contemplative prayer, which is reading a scripture from the Bible, and then you pick a word, you are trying to unpack and just let that marinate, and thinking about like letting kind of like that scripture kind of ramble around in your head and seeing what there is there to unpack. And then you have any word that you want. It could be peace, could be love, could be, I don't know, spaghetti. And that word is to help you bring it back. I've done a little bit of transcendental meditation. It's not really my jam. But it is now. And then I got put onto something a few years ago that really kind of shifted me. Impact theory. Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory has this practice called he calls it thinkitate. And so he does not try to just focus on nothing. He just lets his mind wander. So he gets up in the morning, has coffee, works out, and then he does this thinkitate where he just sits quietly. He has headphones on that have a rainstorm on in them, drowned out all the extra music, which is something that I do every single day. I play this live 24-hour rain thing that helps me to just focus in so I don't hear my neighbor getting ready for school or my dog barking at someone. Well, I still hear my dog, but and so for me, it is, I don't time it. I used to. I go as long as I need to, but it starts with I do a quick prayer to enter into the time. I then do a certain amount of time for gratitude, where I like literally try to feel the gratitude. And I do this in the morning, and I love it in the morning because my wife is still asleep. Both my cat and dog are asleep. Both my kids are asleep, and I know everyone's safe. Everyone's safe. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's comfortable. And I try to feel that gratitude in my heart of like, damn, like this is like I've helped craft a life where like people are living here and they're at ease right now. They're not going to wake up and worry if they have something to eat. And so I try and feel all that out. I then try to just be quiet for as long as I can, which is a little bit difficult sometimes. The longer you do it, the better you get. And I can drop in pretty quickly now. And then it is just trying to clear my mind and seeing what comes up. And then it is praying at the end of that for my day, for the people that I love, for the people that I've told that I would pray for them. And then I go into like a different thing. I come out of that and that really creates the space. Sometimes I drop back in the meditation after I do the prayer, because 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes in, you hit like this state where you're so calm that it's kind of like when you wake up in the morning at a really good night's sleep and you have that like in between, like I'm not quite awake, but I'm not asleep, but I'm not going to fall back asleep, like that kind of chill zone. And that's what I want to enter into my day with. So that's what it is. I appreciate your super chat. Thank you so much. And I think that's it for this week, gang. We will be back next week at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And and let me know, like, I'd really love to know what people like. Do you think I could get like,
someone said, a lot of people say, they were like, come to their school. So, but you have to, I guess.
There needs to be a little organization, because we need to know from principals, like, I want to come speak to your school or your PLC or whatever, right? Like, so it's like, could we do this? Could we pull this off? It's something I'm thinking about doing sooner rather than later, to do this kind of road trip to help teachers be who they're called to be. So that's it, gang. Look, I cannot tell you how much I love this community. I love all of you that show up every week. Next week, if you meet someone that you think might be able to use this, or if you heard something this week, like, this is free of charge. If you could just let someone know about it if they need it, because all we're trying to do is help as many teachers be who they're called to be as we possibly can. If there's anything we can do, go ahead, wife, what you got?
Or give us a review. If that's the easiest thing that you can do, give us a review on iTunes.
Yep. Hit the thumbs up on here. Like,
all those little things. That helps the algorithm.
On iTunes, a review. All it does is help us in the algorithm, helps us get in front of more people, and really just help more people. That's all we're trying to do here.
Chris, thanks. Chris said he'll make us a bologna sandwich. Who eats bologna?
Chris Carson eats bologna.
I feel like I ate bologna when I was like in second grade.
Now you know the Oscar Mayer Wiener song is in my
Now
head.
it's gonna be stuck in my head.
Bologna has a first name. All right, so that's it. If you need anything else, you can go right to realrapwithreynolds.com. We'll help you out with anything that we can. And follow us on social because it's a fun place to kind of see behind the scenes and what we're up to and all that kind of stuff. So that's it, gang. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for being awesome.
Have a great week, everybody.
Peace.